Episode 9 of the Endure Age. We're back, and this episode is sponsored by Dr. A.C. Lawrence, psychiatrist. Guys, I say it every time, reach out if there's anything you need to Dr. A.C. Lawrence on WhatsApp. All his details will be below on this video and on our social media pages. Today, our guest is Richard Laskey. He's a man who's walked through fire. He's a former addict turned endurance athlete, a single father who has raised 3 daughters, after the devastating loss of his wife, and the driving force behind the Cars, a charity that raised millions for childhood cancer. He's a director of Modern Athlete magazine and a living testament to resilience, reinvention, and raw power of showing up, broken but unbreakable. Richard, thank you for joining us.
Dude, it's stoked to be here. Thanks very much. It's quite an intro. Like, you can quieten that down a bit.
No, it's all the truth. Doing the homework on you, it's all the truth. What you've done for the Cars. Wow, if we can talk about the Cars a bit.
I think it's if you want to start off with the Cars, I think that was November 2008. So I think I've always done races for charity, different charities. I did Comrades in a dog suit for SPCA, and we did an ice cream bike, also SPCA, and Starfish for AIDS orphans. So I'd always done races for charity. And then a lady by the name of Karen and her husband Grant, they lost their daughter Jess at 20 months. And they'd been involved with CHOC and found out what CHOC is and what it stands for and what it does. I didn't at the time know anything about it. So my mates then were working with Karen, and they asked me, how do you raise money? What do you do? So we got together, and obviously it was still the bad days. So I had far too many orange juices, and we came up with a concept, and it was 9 days before 947. So obviously I'd been riding the ice cream bike for the 2 previous years. So we decided we're going to do the ice cream bike again. And we were going to wear suits, and I'm sure this podcast is okay with it. Our feeling at the time, and you can understand how many fermented orange juices had happened by then, because we were, let's get a whole lot of rooster suits and we can be a bunch of big cocks. And we hadn't quite thought through the bunch of big cocks and kids charity, and so we hadn't thought that through yet. So thankfully, Steve went to the hiring shop. He could only find 6 car suits. So I think he could find 6 of the same with car suits. So that's how the cars were born. No other planning or thinking. And that was it, Joe. We raised 232,000 Rand in 9 days. And we didn't want to hand over the cash because, this is South Africa, and stuff disappears and doesn't go where it should be. So we decided, look, we asked CHOC, what do you need? CHOC needed some transport. So we bought a Toyota Quantum, had it branded, and that was how it began. And we thought it'd be like a once-off thing. And thought, that'll probably be it. And then we realized, there's quite a need. So we found out a bit more about CHOC and what it does and how it works. So we thought, let's try give it another bash. And so we started again and carried on. And we had a goal for that year. And we bought a house. So we bought a house in Soweto.
That's amazing.
And what that house does is it houses the parent or an aunt or uncle or whoever while the child is having treatment in hospital. And that house, basically, it makes you feel like it's a home. So you're having a really bad time, but all it does is it just gives you an opportunity to be around people with hope, with love, feeling like family. You're going through a rough time, your kid's in the hospital. So you basically fed and transported to and from for the duration of your child's treatment. So, that was a house that we bought then in 2009. I've actually just come from there right now. Subsequent to that, we've got 13 houses around the country. And then there's also, we buy vehicles that transport the kids, Quantums. There's also a psychosocials element to it. So, we're very fortunate. You obviously got medical aid. So if your kid gets diagnosed, you've got counseling, you've got all that sort of stuff, whereas a lot of these guys don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So like a psychosocial worker, if a province needs a psychosocial worker, we work in a salary, we work in a vehicle and fuel for the year. So that's how the budgeting works for that. So, that was, we started that in November 2008. So November this year is coming up for 18 years. And we pretty much do any event possible. So Comrades, Ironman, Epic, Kilimanjaro, Midmore. So there's pretty much not an
Nothing
event.
too small, nothing too big.
Nothing too big, nothing too small. Freedom Challenge, Manga. So if there is an event that we haven't done, please let us know, and we'll make sure we get a Cal representative out there. But I think it's been a long journey, and it's resulted in, and it's normal everyday people. We've all got normal jobs, normal businesses. It's basically normal everyday people trying to make a small impact in other people's lives. And we've raised, by the end of this year, it'll be over 60 million.
Wow.
So yeah, from a couple of boys having a few beers, it's done some incredible good, and we've been able to impact a lot of lives. And I think that's what it's about. We're just normal everyday people. None of us don't do this full time. It's just a case of you can make a difference. And I think all that's happened is it's just, you've given so many people want to help. We've just given them a platform to help. That's all it is.
You've taken a little step forward, and it's just grown.
Yeah, and I think it's got legs of its own. We've become an official charity of Comrades. So Comrades is, they have one charity that they keep is I'm a BD, and that always stays there. And then every 3 years, they basically put a new charity in as a cycle. And we the only charity that they have kept on board. And it's, we're stoked about that. But it's also because each year we're the charity that raises the most. So this year we raised just over 2.6 million.
So I'll tell you a little story. That is amazing, by the way. But a little story of my experience with the cars, and it must have been you. The Comrades that has just passed. I was at about, I say between 70 and 80K, somewhere there. My knee had its own heartbeat. I was in the pain cave. I was in a very bad state. And as everyone knows, comrade support is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was close to the people on the right-hand side of the road and walking there. And I heard this dad say to the girl, "Here comes a car, here comes a car." And I didn't click,
Yeah.
And I wasn't far away from them. And all of a sudden I hear this big moo. And it must have been you, and you moved straight back at this little kid. But this kid's face lit up, and they got ready and they moved. And I just got this big smile on my face.
Yeah. You forgot about your knee.
And I forgot about the pain I was in. So you don't only help kids with cancer, you help guys and comrades that's in the pain cave.
I was in a proper pain cave there as well. So I feel it.
You needed the move.
I needed the move. Yeah, it's amazing. You get so many of those things. The support, as you know, I mean, comrades, the support. First of all, you got 20,000 people running with you. So there's always encouragement along the route. But the people that line the route, and you go past Intimbeni School, which is obviously so special. And those little kids, they're all special needs kids.
That is a special part. And they're all lined up there in their wheelchairs.
And they've been waiting there for so long. And it's like that for me is like one of my favorite parts of the route is when you go past and you just try and high-five as many of them as possible. Because so we've got a very close bond with them, and obviously, so this year was my 15th in the car suit at Comrades. So we built up a
15th in the car suit, and has there been any without the
22
suit?
Altogether.
So what is it altogether?
22.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm
double green.
So just so that you know, I'm that person. So I've run without a chip. I've run without a number. So
there's actually more.
No. So I've officially, this was my 12th.
Okay.
But I've yet to even collect my green number. I don't really care about those things.
It's not about that.
No, it's not about that. But I've got 22 medals, 22 badges, 22 scrolls. But officially, because I've run without chips, etc. It's for me, it's just about the experience. But that Intimbeni School is just proper. You run past Kersney and you just see how the different dynamics of our country work. You got a private school that's right up in the top I don't know, probably top 10, 15 in terms of what you pay. And then you got Intimbeni. And they're both out there to support, which is just so beautiful.
Yes.
So I think it's, and that event is on its own is just a special event.
No, for sure. And you talk now about that you're not even worried to collect your green number. I had Reino Grissel on the podcast, episode 8. And I was telling him about a DNF that I had at Comrades 2 years ago, where I pulled out at 60, and how it took me a year mentally to come back from it, and it just wasn't good for me mentally. And I said, I'll never give up on a race. And he looked at me on the podcast going, you're running for the wrong reason. And I was like, hey, it took me back. He's like, you're running for validation. And he's like, Jacques, you shouldn't be running for these reasons.
100%.
And it made me think, like, I am, right? And it's like, since then, and that was a week or two ago, every night I think to myself, why do you run? Run. Yes, running has saved you. It got you out of addiction, all of those things, but you're running for the wrong reasons. What is it? Validation with your wife, with your kids, with your family. It's not the right reason, Jacques. I mean, if you pull out of a race, so what? It shouldn't bug you. It shouldn't stop your life. It shouldn't. You should then just go and do the next race.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You shouldn't have a year of darkness because you pulled out of Comrades.
And but it's also, I think, and I know the reason why you feel like that, because it feels like you failed.
Yeah.
And it feels like you failed yourself, and it feels like you failed others that are trying to believe in you.
And those that are supporting you and following you on the app and all of this whole thing.
You know, and so that's the thing. But also, so what I do each year is I put a video out. Obviously, it's part of the fundraising, but I put a video out and because I know I'm going to get to that deep, dark place. It doesn't matter. I'm also not the most consistent when it comes to like what I say, I live by the thing, like I say, do what I do, not do what I say, not what I do. Because I don't really do the training stuff that you're supposed to. So I know I'm going to hit those dark days and places. So I'm
glad I'm not alone.
No. So what I do is I take a permanent mark and I write names of people we've lost or people that are fighting. And I put them on my hands and I invite my mates to do the same thing and to send me their pictures. So then when I get to that place, and I'm feeling sorry for myself. So this year was particular because I tore my calf 6Ks in. So it was still 84 to go. So it was like a long haul and a long dark day with myself. So there were many moments, and it was a case of then I pull my phone out and I look at the pictures that they had sent, and I looked at my hands and I looked at the reason. And those are the reasons why I was running. That's my why. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm merely a vessel that people have funded and helped, and it's through all of us working together that we've been able to impact this community and all the kids' lives that we've affected, all the parents' lives that we've affected. But it's in those dark times that you remember what your why is, and you remember that it's actually not about you. So there are people out there that wish, there's like little kids fighting that wish they could be in my position with a torn calf right now. That was the worst of their scenarios. They're sitting with a debilitating, terminal disease, probably going through chemo, losing their hair, that type of stuff. But I've got to run a little race, and the suffering's going to be over in 12 hours. And then I'm going to get on with it. So it's like, suck it up, princess. Exactly, dude. Tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up, but that kid's still got a port in its chest, still going through tough times. Maybe the kid didn't wake up the next morning. So I think makes it, so I understand completely where you come from, and you've got to have the reasons of what your why is. So, I mean, that makes it a bit easier.
For sure. How does someone like yourself balance the charity work that you do and the professional life at Modern Athlete? Is there any advice you got for professionals out there who want to give back? Like, I meet these people and they're like, we want to give back, but the biggest thing is time. And I know people do have time in their hands and they don't realize it. What advice have you got for those professionals that want to give back? How have you managed to split the two?
I think for me personally, we're very fortunate that event forms a huge part of our business. So we pretty much at events every weekend. So what we've done is we've incorporated the cows into the business. So the interviews that I do in a cow suit.
Okay.
When I'm taking part in events, I'm interviewing people, normal everyday people, whilst we're running, which is good content. And it's guys that are realizing that you don't need to be at the front of the field. There are the elites. I mean, you spoke about Rainer. It's like, dude, I mean, he's an absolute legend. And, him and Jock, when they did the 13P. So we've done lots of articles on those type of people. We've just done Ryan on his incredible second place. Those guys are, they're like up here, and you don't need to be up there to make a difference.
Yeah.
They can make a difference in their own way, which they always do. just imparting knowledge, like him in his podcast, just the knowledge that he imparts and the advice he gave to you about you running for the wrong reasons. That's incredible advice. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing, or it doesn't have to be a time and come and help and serve the community. Just like dispensing advice from those sort of guys is incredible to listen to. So I think for me, we're very fortunate with our business that events form the biggest core of our business is events. So we get to be at events all the time. So, and everything that I do is in the car suit. So it all just basically meshes into one. So everybody knows if they see Modern Athlete, they're going to see a car. That's pretty much the way it works. So we are very lucky like that.
And if you are a professional or a corporate, I mean, you can do the same. Yeah. You can merge the two together, the charity and the giving, merge it together.
And I think that
it doesn't have to be a sport like running or something.
Not at all. I mean, you've got the CEO challenge coming up now, which the guys do a fantastic job with. I think we like South Africa is like sports before. That's the way we are. It's a couple of weeks ago was the Super Sport shootouts, and you sit and you see the leaders of business and the leaders of sport and the guys of yesteryear, and you see the money that they do there and the donations that come in. It's an incredible thing, and I think we are such a special country. Sport will always unify us. There's nothing. We 30 years of having won the World Cup. Last week we beat the Barbarians. You see the unity that are in the stands. You see the unity that the Bokke bring. The Proteas now when they won the World Test Championship. It's like and that's my thing. Like if there's anything I could ever have done, it would have been like play cricket. Like that's just like the be all and end all. But I think it's also like you see what they do there. And what they've done and how they've suffered and, the choke and tag that they've had for so long. Now the fact that they went and beat Australia is like beautiful. So, I mean, for us as South Africans, we've got so much potential, so much hope. And it's, I think things like this is so important because it's just carrying a message through and it filters through to the rest of the country.
How does a runner, swimmer, triathlete join the cars if they want to?
Really simple. They just have a passion, jump onto the cars.co.za. Daisy will get back to you. She's Daisy at thecars.co.za. And I think you can join anyway. And again, any sports. We've got a whole lot of different things. So we do like school rugby socks, hockey socks. Okay, so the school can purchase or somebody can purchase a whole lot and donate. I know Saheti just one of the dads, he lost his son 2 years ago, and he bought a whole lot of pairs of socks for the Sahedi team, for all the sporting teams.
Wow, that's awesome.
But the schools bought into it. So a lot of the schools have, especially Midmar. Midmar is a massive focus. So a lot of the schools then get they enter, the kids enter, then they fundraise and they get.
Tell me there's a car speeder.
There's a car speeder.
Yeah.
It's a car speeder.
Should have asked you to wear one of those today in the Jobo cold.
You don't really, the viewership numbers will drop quickly, dude.
Hey, you never know.
You're trying to increase your numbers, yeah.
You never know. Let's get a bit onto Richard. Tell us a little bit about your story. Fought some grief, loss, addiction. Take us from the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's that's obviously what the primary objective of what you do here is talk about men and anguish and health and anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, addiction. I think we again, if you allude back to where we are in this country, it's sport goes hand in hand with drinking, so I had a big drinking problem, and it started very early on, but there's not and it's not something that I've stopped. To give you an example, when my missus was still alive. There's not a single function I didn't mess up, not one. Like every single solitary function.
So the drinking didn't start, and we'll talk about your wife that passed away, and I am so sorry about that. But that it didn't start after.
No. So when we were together, so I started drinking very early on, like very young age. Background was a bit dodge. it's
You start drinking at school already?
yeah.
School times?
At school, definitely. So I was at JP Boys first, and then I was doing some stuff that wasn't supposed to happen. So
Like we all do.
Yeah. Then I ended up going to. I think I must maybe tell you. So
Please do.
So as you start out, you're a youngster, you're trying to make some bucks. So I had a newspaper route. So I had a morning route and an afternoon route, and you had those newspaper delivery bags. So you used to pack your those big bags at the front and at the back, and you fill all your newspapers. But it was back in the day of the milk deliveries, and you had the old battery operated milk delivery trucks. I don't know if you're old enough to know that, but anyway. They had, so I mean, this is taking it back a good few years. So you put your milk bottles out, the empties, and you put your tokens inside those. Yellow was orange juice.
We only got it later.
So yellow was orange juice, blue was milk, and purple was guava juice. So I would do my deliveries, and wherever I saw a milk bottle and the tokens, then I would take the tokens. So I'd drop them in newspapers, take all the tokens, then I'd catch the 32 bus to JP.
Okay.
And then I'd catch the bus back, and it dropped you outside Jewel Street, and right there was the Bliss Dairy. That was the dairy that used to do all the deliveries. And what I would do is, it was back in the day of like the guys weren't allowed, the black dudes weren't allowed to go to certain places. So I would then go into the dairy with all the tokens, and then I would sell milk and orange juice and guava juice to all the black dudes around there for half price.
Okay.
So, and then with that money, I would then buy weed and sell it to my white mates at school. So that was like my little entrepreneurship thing.
So the entrepreneurship started at a young age.
Yeah, so but it was, apparently it was frowned upon. So,
well, most entrepreneurs, if you listen to their stories, when it started at a young age, it was always on the dodge side of things.
Well, exactly.
And you don't know. I mean, you're young, so
it was more like I felt more like Robin Hood. So it worked. So it's never going to work now because milk bottles are never going to be around at this stage of the crime that goes on. But anyway, so that I did start very young, and so I've always done sport. I played a lot of sport my whole life. And it just progressively, my drinking got worse and worse and worse. So when I met my missus, like as I said earlier, there's not a single function I didn't mess up. So I messed up absolutely everything.
Were you getting to the functions drunk?
Yeah. No, listen, but our wedding, I was hammered at the wedding. Her sister had to drive us home. She had to get herself out of her dress because I passed out. So I was drunk at the wedding. I was drunk at the baby shower, those donuts that the baby sleeps in. There's me passed out in the corner while she's opening the presents. First birthday for our eldest daughter. At the time, I had a pub and restaurant in Galuli's driving range. So we had she was besotted with Winnie the Pooh. So I had a Winnie the Pooh ice cream cake that we bought from Milky Lane. And I thought, okay, so we're having the first birthday at Galuli's farm, a bit of volleyball and stuff and oaks and some drinks. And so I stopped in at the pub just to make sure everything was okay. And clearly stayed there too long. So then by the time I got to around the corner to Galuli's, the ice cream cake was, Winnie the Pooh looked like the Michelin Man. But so I literally messed up every single function that I ever had. And then we were gonna get a divorce. So at that time I had visitation rights to my daughter, and I got a thing back saying I had to have supervised rights 1 hour a week. And I said, like, who does she think she is, etc. And my lawyer said, Tom, if it was me, you wouldn't even be seeing your kid. Yeah. And I was like, hey, you're like my lawyer, dude. You're not her lawyer. And I was like, have you seen the way you're behaving? So I started going to AA, but every time I went to AA, I was hammered. So, but it was ticking everybody else's box.
You're making everyone else feel.
Everyone else.
Just get them off your back, basically.
Yeah. So just, okay, if you got AA, look, he's trying. I had no intention of stopping.
Were you waking up and drinking?
Yeah, like I didn't stop, dude. I drank right throughout. I had places where I went that waitresses knew what I would have. So my coffee would arrive. There'd be a double whiskey in my coffee. 11 o'clock, then it would be orange juice with a double vodka. And then when it was acceptable at lunchtime, drinking beers and wines, and that's the thing. It's so acceptable. You can sit at a table and you can have like 15, 20 beers and be hammered, and no one says anything. but you can't like do a couple of lines or shoot up at the table. Then suddenly it's like frowned
It's the
upon.
most acceptable drug
But
out
so
there.
everyone else is like, oh, it's cool. Oh, look, there's a piss dog there, piss dog there. It's like, we don't do anything about it. So it's such an acceptable addiction and a drug. And then so my missus did. We actually started the cows in November 2008, and then my wife was diagnosed August the 6th, 2009. So I'd spent a year learning about cancer.
So you were still an active addict when you joined the cows.
Yeah.
Okay, so
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
And your missus, you didn't know about any cancer when you joined the cows?
No, I didn't know about that. So I spent basically a year understanding what cancer was about, what chemo was, how you do it, et cetera, et cetera. So then she was diagnosed in August 2009, and she passed away October the 12th, 2010. So it was pretty quick. So it was 3 days before she turned 37.
I read it was a very rare cancer that not many doctors in South Africa knew
crazy.
about. You had to fly a doctor down.
Yeah, flew a doctor. So Leanne Mannis, who does like ETV, her brother, Professor Mannis, he heads up the transplant unit in Newcastle. So we flew him out here, and they performed an op that had never been done here. So there was a whole lot of surgeons, and they videoed it. And but she had to say goodbye to the kids and us and everything prior, because they didn't know if it was going to work. So it was like a massive thing, obviously for her. Not knowing if she was going to make it.
How old were the kids at this stage?
They were 7, 5, and 1 at that stage. Yeah.
7, 5, and 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, she made it, and then we went through chemo and all of that, and it just got progressively worse. She was spending 20 days a month in high care. So having loads of like blood transfusions and stuff. But then she passed away, as I said, 12th of October. So 3 days before she turned 37. And that was it. And that's the easy part, dude, because then everyone feels sorry for you.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, like it's understandable that Ike's getting hammered all the time, because fuck, look what he's gone through.
I would be doing the same thing if my wife passed away.
So I think it probably wasn't the greatest thing, because it was, well, look, could you imagine what he must be going through in his head, So it was like more acceptable, and like,
so it almost became an excuse to have an addiction.
Yeah, we should give him a little bit of leeway. He's like, maybe because he's misbehaving so badly. But people also, and this is where I need to take accountability, because people go, fuck, you're amazing. You brought up 3 girls. You're like so incredible. You're such a great dad. No, I was a fucking useless rubbish. Absolutely useless. I would make, do the breakfast, do the lunches, pick them up every single day. I picked them up from school. I was drunk. Then I make them dinners, do homework, pack the school lunches, put them to bed, and then I'd go out. So, and then I get home like 5 a.m. and there's my 8, 9, 10-year-old eldest at the bottom of the stairs, like, is this the time to come home type thing. So I wasn't this fantastic dad. So everybody thinks you were this amazing guy, this flippin' hero, this example to everyone else. I wasn't. I was a piece of shit. So I was like a shocker. So it went on for a long time. I had, and then that's the thing about addiction, dude. It's just everything's there. Everyone else can see it except you. And you're like going, well, like, how do I stop this shit? And it's not like you don't, it, you can feel it, but you still don't do anything about it. So I had 2 interventions where they were going to take my kids away. What
was your rock bottom? Where did it all change on the alcohol side of things?
So I met, and that's the other thing. I was a complete man whore, which was not the right thing to show my girls. It wasn't the right way to do it. But you can't change any of that. It's done. And it also, for me, like this conversation we're having right now, you're exactly where you're meant to be right here, right now. Everything that's happened in the lead up to this was supposed to happen. Be it good, be it bad, be it whatever, doesn't matter. You're exactly where you're meant to be right here, right now. There's a plan, there's a purpose. I'm not a religious dude, but I believe there's something a lot bigger than me. And it doesn't matter what religion you practice. The basic premises of all of them are just be kind and decent to each other.
There's a higher power.
There's a higher power, whatever that power may be. There is one. I met Isabel. I met her in November. I met her, and then it was December. It was holiday. We had booked to go away with the kids. And I said to her and her mate, listen, don't you folks want to pull in? So they pulled in for a bit. And it was actually such an innocuous thing. But I went out, we went out, and she said she was tired. She's going to go home. And she said, look after my friend. My friend's like wild. So I said, like, I'm loving that. If she's wild, like, this is going to be proper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we flipping, diving off speakers and misbehaving and carrying on like reprobates. And she's a great party animal. And it was raining and we were leaving the club at like 4:30 in the morning. And it turns out, so she slipped down the stairs. And I turned to catch her. And she landed on my chest, and we bounced down like a flight of stairs.
Oh wow!
So it wasn't a major car accident or anything like that. Anyway, and I'd fractured ribs a couple of weeks before playing football. So you know what it's like. You know, a fractured rib, nothing you can do.
Forever.
There's nothing absolutely nothing. There's nothing. You try a couple of painkillers and that's it. You know, so smash some Alpradols and some Cataflames, whatever. And that was the 27th of December. 1st of January, I couldn't breathe. They took me to Belito Hospital, and then the Oaks misdiagnosed me with pneumonia. So I spent a week in Belito Hospital with being treated for pneumonia.
Which you didn't have.
Which I didn't have. Eventually, I said to the doc, listen, I've got to go back, but the kids are starting school. They'd spent another week now finding new accommodation. So we drove back home, and the following morning I went to Bedford's clinic, and it sounded like I was gurgling. So when I spoke, it sounded like I was like gargling with water. Anyway, they booked me and did some scans and stuff. And what had happened is my ribs had fractured. They'd punctured my lungs. My lungs had filled up with fluid and gone septic. So there was septicemia.
Geez.
So I only had 13% capacity left in my lungs. So I was basically drowning in septicemia. So they booked me in. They had a thoracic surgeon. Then they put 2 big drains in my back. Big pipes and 5-liter bottles on each side of my back on the floor, and that was draining all the stuff out. And then they cut 4 centimeters of lining off the inside of my lungs because it was like necrosis, like a parfait.
Jesus.
So I was rotting from the inside out.
I was going to say it was rotting basically.
So dude, the pain was like stupid. It was like So I got a very high pain threshold, but like this was proper, dude. So anyway, they did that, and I then so I spent a month in ICU, and it was just the other thing is my temperature wouldn't come down. Nobody could work out why my temp wasn't coming down, and then I realized that I was detoxing. So because Belle at the time didn't know, she was like, "Oh, it's acceptable to have a beer at 7 a.m. He's on holiday." It's like this is December.
It's normal.
So then my sister was like, listen, do you think we should tell the doctor how much he actually drinks? She's like, well, I think you're over-exaggerating. Then my sister told the doc. And so the reason my temp wouldn't come down was because I was detoxing. So I'd spent that month in hospital.
Basically coming down from not drinking.
With all in ICU. So then my kids walked in and they said, look, Dad, we've lost one parent. We don't want to lose another. And then Belle came in and she said, look, I'm not signing up for this shit. She said, like, sort your shit out or I'm from out here. So that was a moment in hospital and I was like, yes, I think I've made enough cuck now. It's like, maybe it's time to.
How old were you at this stage?
Do the maths, but
Plus minus.
47.
Okay.
Yeah. So I literally, I was discharged from hospital. I was home a couple of days and I made up my mind. I said, cool, book into rehab. So I booked into rehab, and it was my call, and that's the thing is people go like, yo, you need to go to rehab. You need to do this. Like previously when, they were all saying to me, go, and I went for 7 years. I went to AA at Dunvegan Nursery School in Dunvegan, but I wasn't ready to do it. So I went in there fully aware that this is what I want. This is what I want to do. I want to change. I want to make sure that I stop behaving like an absolute reprobate. And I want to actually have some relationship with my kids, and I want to try and build a relationship with Belle, and I want to be a better human because I'm like, that's again, like what I said to you is everyone else thought I was this great person. I was a fucking rubbish. That's the truth. I was honestly a rubbish.
It's amazing how we can manipulate people to think we're a great person.
Well,
and I say we as addicts.
Well, that's the thing. What are you learning, that you're cunning and deceitful? Like, that's the thing. You lied to everyone closest to you. You were lying. It's like everything. It just snowballs, So, it was such an innocuous thing. Thankfully, it wasn't a massive accident with my kids or, me driving or something stupid like that. Thank goodness it wasn't that. So from an absolutely silly little thing, I landed up in rehab, and that was it, dude. It's been 6.5 years.
Congratulations.
But it's also the same as you. It's not about how far you've come. It's about, if you need to work on just for an hour, it's just for an hour. So if it's just for today, it's just for today.
For sure.
And I think that's, now and it's accountability, and it's being honest with myself and being honest with everybody else. So I regularly remind myself, and people go, "Oh, you put it out there because you want everyone else to like your posts, and you want to." No, I don't give a shit. My whole attitude is, honestly, I don't give a fuck how you feel about me. I really don't.
And you shouldn't.
It's your problem. If you dislike me or you don't like something I do, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to lose sleep over it tonight. I just want to be better in everything that I possibly can. I want to be a better example to my kids. I want to be a better example to my business partners, to my clients, to everybody else. And I want to I want to right my wrongs. There's a whole lot of wrongs that I've done. And as you know, the 12 steps it's a universal based thing. It was based on alcohol addiction, but it's been changed so that it can be used for any addiction, as you know, gambling, alcohol, eating disorder, doesn't matter.
Correct.
And I think those steps are so pertinent, and you never stop working through them. Never. You don't ever stop working through those steps. You go back and you remember, oh, geez, I pissed off that person. There's another apology I got to make. I think that's step 7. I can't remember, but I think it's step
amends,
7. And making amends. And some are too far gone. But you've still got to reach out, and you've still got to ask. You need to go.
Accepted. If it's not, it's not.
Dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Whether you accept it or you don't accept it, I can't help that. But I need you to know that I was wrong, I need you to know that I was an absolute rubbish. And that's it. I'm comfortable with that. And as I say to you, I put it out there very often. That and it's not because I want people to go, oh wow, this looks amazing. No. It's about, I hope someone out there is in like the worst situation ever, and they think there's no hope, and they read it or they hear it or they watch it and they reach out, because that person putting their hand out is the bravest thing that they're going to do.
Sure.
And then it means that all the shit that we caused in our past, I've got a chance to now give back. And it's through what I've been through that I'm able to try and assist you. And that makes it all worthwhile. All those failed promises, all those broken promises, all those ideas that you had, all those disappointments, all the hurts and failure, those are all worth it. They're all school fees for where we are now. Yeah. So so that's why I do it too. That's the reason why I do it.
Yeah, what I've learned during my addiction is that people who don't understand addiction have a problem with people that want to talk about it. Like, you want to post about it, post about yourself, etc. And that's where they get the wrong idea. We're not trying to blow our own bubbles when we say we're 6 years clean and we did this and now we're doing this and our life has changed. We're trying to show people that think there's no hope that there is hope. From your side, if there's one thing about addiction that you wish people knew or understood about, as an alcoholic, as a recovering alcoholic, what do you wish people knew about addiction?
I think it's just, people need to know how difficult it actually is to get out of it. It's a disease. So if you've got cancer, if you've got diabetes, you're not frowned upon. People look at you with sympathy. You got addiction, they don't look at you with sympathy.
No, they think you're a piece of shit.
They think you're an outcast. They think you're a rubbish. They think you're on the streets. People do not understand that it's the third biggest killer in the States. That addiction it's a disease. That's what it is. It's not, and again, it doesn't matter which addiction it is. Like we said, bulimia, dyslexia, they might not seem the same as like crack cocaine or tick, but it's a person going through a disease. And that's the whole thing, is that people do not understand that it is a disease, and they see you as a rubbish. And I think if people could just understand that it is a disease, and because also people they'll go into rehab and they'll come out of rehab and they'll relapse. And they're like, Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You went in there, now you've relapsed. Well, you're not living through it. You're not going through it. But by the same token, people who are going into rehab need to be going in there on their own.
Can't force someone to do it.
Interventions don't work, dude. Intervention means that you didn't want to be there in the first place. And it's a very simple thing. And I don't know if you feel like it. So I'll ask you. So you stay away from casinos, probably.
Correct. Yes.
Because you don't want to put yourself in that position.
I am going to restaurants around a casino because there's restaurants obviously now. But I make sure I never go alone. My safety net is taking a person that everyone knows about my addiction now, but in the beginning, there were some people that didn't know about my addiction. I was too embarrassed to talk about it because it's frowned upon, like you say. And I make sure the people I know, I'd made sure I go with people. If I'm invited to a birthday party at a casino, at the restaurants around the casinos, etc.
And that's interesting, dude, because so for me, obviously, again, if you talk about alcohol's around you all the time. So I love cooking, dude. I mean, I've come from a hotel school background, so
I cook with wine.
I cook all the time. And there's like people like, oh, geez, we must hide the stuff. Like in the beginning, it's like, no, clear out all of the stuff. I'm not going, so do I miss it? Absolutely, I miss it.
Of course.
Like we were out last night at Farewell. The boys are trying all the different beers. I don't know how many tequilas were going. I'm like, China, I would so get stuck into that. But I know that if I even think about it,
you'll die.
You know what it's like? One is 10, one is too many and 10,000 is too few. That's how we operate. So, and I know, so I don't have any problem. In the beginning, my mates are like, "Oh no, we're not going to have wine at the table because we know you." No, dude, because I couldn't handle life doesn't mean your life must change.
Yes,
I can't be impacting everyone else's life because I'm a rubbish and I can't behave. So it actually makes it worse if people, so if you treat an addict like that, it actually makes it worse. So you got to be normal. Other people are going to be normal around you.
That you say it
you can't, I don't want to impact somebody else's life. And, geez, if we're having dinner with him tonight, we better not cook with wine or can we cook with wine or does it evaporate the alcohol? And so I think for me, I miss it. 100% I miss it. And I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with everybody else. I do miss it. I'd happily sit down and have a beer with you. Like if I could, I would, but I know I can't. So, and I'd rather tell people, and I'm happy to sit around everyone and have it. And what I did do is like, so would you say you had a safety net and you go with someone? What I was doing is I was making excuses. So if I was going to a birthday party or an event or something like that, I would be the last one to get there. I'd be the first one to leave because I was making all sorts of excuses not to hang around people.
Okay.
And those were not the other people's problems. They were my problems.
Yeah.
They were like, I can't have a good time unless I'm hammered. I'm not in the same zone as them. I'm not on the same pluck as them. I'm like, I want to be 17 beers down and think everything's hysterical the fifth time you tell the story. It is. It does. It gets much funnier. I mean, last night, and so, to go back to what I was trying to say is that I said to my kids, because they cucked on me at the beginning of the year, I said, Dad, do you know what a grumpy fuck you are? So that's how they spoke to me. I said, do you know what a grumpy fuck you are? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you make all excuses because of these things, because of this. So I made a commitment to Bella and the kids at the beginning of this year that I would stop that. That I would stop making my addiction and my problem everybody else's.
Addiction is such a selfish thing. When you're an addict, you're selfish. When you're not an addict and you're clean, you're selfish. It's like, crazy.
And it's like a stigma. So, but again, who's got the ability to change that? Only we have.
Exactly.
So unless you're going to look inwardly and realize
so right,
you've got, and you look back in the mirror and you go like, how was today? And I mean, I have this thing, people say you only live once. And like, for me, that's the biggest crock of shit. You live every day, you die once. So every day is an opportunity to be better. And there's a guy, Chris Nitchich, he's the first Down syndrome guy to do a full Ironman. And he has a charity called 1% Better. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. If you base your life on that premise, that you try and be 1% better today than you were yesterday, what a beautiful thing. You're not doing anything massive. You just got to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And if we all tried that, how amazing would it be?
No, for sure.
So I think it's, for me, I always talk about it, like I said, I'm not religious. For me, Bob Marley's he's my dude that I think he's the best oak that's ever lived. And I've got the lyrics of Redemption Song on my chest, and it's open your eyes, look within. Are you satisfied with the life you're living? And if you're not, change it. And that's as simple as it is. I have no sympathy for people who say, I hate my job. I've got to go to work every day. Well, then fucking change it. Change it. If you don't like what you're doing, change it. Because no one's holding a gun to your head saying you have to go and do this job. So you've got no excuse. And that's our problem. We get stuck into these comfort zones and we like, woe is me and all the rest. So for me, I don't regret a single solitary thing I've ever done. Not one. I don't regret anything. I don't regret being hammered at my wedding. I don't regret being hammered at the baby shower.
Made you the person you are today.
It brought me to where I am today. And hopefully it resonates with somebody else. And if it didn't happen, it wouldn't have resonated with somebody else. And it means that I wouldn't have then made a small difference to that person.
I want to go back to the loss of your wife. When it all happened and you said your kids had to say goodbye. What the hell went through your head? Those few weeks, how do you even function after that?
So I think,
and I know alcohol might have numbed the pain or whatever it does.
Yeah, look, so I did definitely numb the pain. So she was extremely positive. And so we had said, so like I said, it was very close. She passed away 3 days before her 37th birthday. So we had said, look, let's have a big party for your birthday. Let's have a big party. So make it raucous. Give it horns, give it like everything. Tell all the family to travel, Cape Town, Durban, whatever. Pull in. We have this big party. So she had always been so positive. People would come and visit her, and they would leave, and they would go like she's amazing. She's so bubbly, and she's so like. But for that 10, 15 minutes that those people were there, she put on such a front. She didn't ever want people to feel sorry for her. She was so strong. She's the strongest person I know. She was just unbelievable. But she refused to let anybody feel sorry for her. And then the people would leave and then she'd be broken. But for that time that they were there, like they couldn't understand it. So she had always been so positive, and it was the Sunday night. And she was really weak and I was helping her bath. And the party was on the Saturday. And she said to me, I'm not going to make Saturday. And that was the first negative thing she had said in the entire duration of her treatment. And she said, I'm not going to make Saturday. And so I said to her, no, we because you can see it happening, dude. I mean, you live with it. So you see it. She was at home and you know it's happening. I mean, she was so weak, she couldn't bath. So I was trying to help her bath. So I said to her, look, tomorrow morning, you got physio. I'll take you to physio. Then anyway, we went to physio. The oak started and he said, something's not right. He said, I can't, there's nothing. So I said to her, cool, we'd take her to hospital. We booked her into hospital. And saw her the Monday night. So I was with her the Monday night. And then the Tuesday morning, they were going to do another MRI and another CAT scan. So I went to the office, phoned her. I phoned her just before I went to the office, and she said to me, okay, the guys are here to fetch me for the CAT scan. So I said, cool, by the time you come out, I'll be there. And then, she said, love you, and put the phone down. That was the last time I spoke to her. She did the CAT scan. She came back and she had a brain hemorrhage and a stroke when they were putting her back into her bed.
Exactly.
So that happened at 9:32 in the morning. And the hospital phoned. I was on my way. Anyway, family went. The kids had already been going for counseling. As small as they were, the youngest one obviously didn't know what was going on. But so our therapist came to the hospital. So older one then knew what was the situation.
You were proactive with the kids.
Yeah. So listen, we had a great support structure. My sister, my sister and brother-in-law were like the most amazing, phenomenal friends, family, incredible. But my sister and brother-in-law were amazing because they basically took my 3 kids in.
And put up with your shit.
With my shit. So they were, my sister's a clinical psychologist, so it's like I've always told her, like, I'm not on your fucking couch. Talk to me like a human. I'm not your patient. So yeah, they were amazing because they literally looked after my kids. And that's why I said I wasn't this perfect father figure or anything. But we spent, it was a whole day. So family came, the kids sat on the bed with her and held her hand. So she was breathing, but she wasn't there. You know, she was very, very much brain dead. And the crazy thing is that, so then the minister came and, you know, basically said, this is it, say goodbye. So we said goodbye. And yeah, we all walked out. And then the orderly came in. And then the orderly called me back into the room and said, she hasn't died, she's still here. So then I went back and I sat on the bed. I said, okay. I held her hand, said, fuck, it's enough now. Like, seriously, it's enough. It was now, so it's 12 hours later and she's still fighting. And, you know, and I said to her, fuck, it's enough. You've been through everything. Your kids have had a chance to say goodbye. It's time for you to let go. You know, everything's okay. You're gonna be okay. And we called the people back in again. The pastor came in, the kids came in, and then so my missus was religious, and then the minister said the Lord's Prayer, and she said Amen, and like as she said Amen, Mel took this breath, and that was it. I've got goosebumps. Then she's gone, and it was. Like right up to the end, she was just this like stubborn. I was like, fuck, can you like stop now? It's enough. Like seriously. But it was, so what we did is.
She was giving you payback.
Yeah, 100%. It was like, exactly. So yeah, 3 days later we had the memorial. The memorial was, you had to wear bright colors. It was a celebration. There was nothing else. It was a celebration.
Don't come here in black. It was
packed. We had the kids doing like some fun dances at the front. It was beautiful. And then we had her party. So we had rented the marquee. We had rented all the entertainment.
That is amazing.
We had a big cocktail thing, all slush stuff for the kids. So we had a huge party. It was a massive send-off. So we still had her birthday on the day that she would have turned 37. So yeah, it was an amazing thing. She celebrated. Everybody misses her. Everybody knows who she was and what she stood for. And you see it in the kids, you know, and so to answer, how did I deal with it? I still stayed drunk. And I didn't deal with it. I didn't cry I didn't cry when she passed away. I was emotionless. I am a pretty emotionless person. It sounds, I cry when the Boca win and when the World Test Championship when we won. Like I cry at sport. That's it. I cry when the anthem plays. I cry at Comrades when Chariot starts, when Shosholoza starts. I cry there. And then my kid's like, you watch a sad movie. I'm like, I don't cry. The kid's like, Dad, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't. I am very removed from that, and I think it's just something that I've built up through my own.
That's how you've been brought up, trauma, whatever happens in life.
I think, but also you're stubborn, dude, and you don't want to admit it. And it's cowboys don't cry type stuff. And men don't do that. And so I think that's
how you've been brought up.
Yeah. Well, so I think so I never dealt with it. I never dealt with it. And then I went on my brother this is quite crazy. So my missus, so we engaged, Isabel, her ex-husband, they own businesses together. So she spends more time with him than with me. So we live in the same street. Her office is at his house. We have a really cool relationship.
Wow, that's a podcast. That's another episode.
It's an amazing. We have an amazing relationship. We honestly do.
We can get an extra couch.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing relationship. We're blessed to have it because he will be there for birthdays at 6 a.m. to open presents. He'll be there for Christmas to do the same thing. So Mother's Days, Father's Days, we're all together.
And listen, I'm telling you, from a divorced man, makes life so much easier,
dude. So me not having Mel there is like so easy. You don't have visitation rights. You don't have maternity, like maintenance. You don't have any of that cuck. But we can't complain at all. Like what he does with us, we're so blessed. We honestly are. So we have this incredible relationship with everybody where like if he comes to pick up the kids and my kids are there, he'll like, oh, you're coming for dinner, and he'll take the boyfriends with, he'll take whatever. So I think
you don't want it any other way,
dude. We're so fortunate. So I think we're very lucky with that relationship, and obviously like, and it's also you get these very close because Mel and Belle. So Belle's been like a pillar of strength in our house, and we treat all the kids the same. It's no yours or ours. It's yours or his. It's like they're all ours. And we have this really crowd,
which is the way it should be.
Loud, crazy house. We have the kids are, they always are able to have people over and have jewels and stuff. Well, I'd much rather than be at us having these jewels in a safe environment. So I think we're blessed, dude. Belle's been amazing in how she's brought our family as a unit together, and I've learned what family is, because what I did back then wasn't family, dude. I wasn't a dad. I wasn't a husband. I was a shocking husband, a shocking business partner, a shocking father, shocking friend, brother. Fuck, dude. There's nothing I didn't fuck up. Nothing. So, but it's opportunities to fix. And that's what I love about this is you get another chance every single day to try and help somebody else and to try help someone who's going through some shit. And I think if you can just try and spend a little bit more time listening to what people are going through and understanding what they're going through and how they got to that position, that's what it's about. Is like, just take a step back, listen. You don't know what that person's going through. That person who's being rude to the cashier, did the husband hit her this morning? That other person who's just cut you off in traffic, did they lose their job? Did they just get a retrenchment letter? We don't know that. So we spend so much time
confronting and all this actually chaos.
Anger.
Yeah.
And it's like anger. And I think that's also all of us can learn from it. And all of us, me personally, dude, I'll just as much time as you can have reflecting and just looking at stuff and seeing, am I doing this right? Should I look at it from another angle? Your view is different to mine, but why? You're seeing it through different lenses. Which lens are you looking through? Maybe if I looked at it through your lens, it'll make sense.
Might make more sense. So you've obviously reinvented yourself.
I'm still a reprobate, dude.
No, and I think we always need to learn, and we're always going to be learning as addicts. Someone who is new and coming clean, what advice do you have them to not let their past define you? Because you've obviously not let your past define you. You've accepted it, and you've used it to your benefit by reinventing yourself to a better person. What advice do you have to them? How did you not let your past define you?
I think the simple thing is accountability, dude. Accountability is and accepting the fact that you're fallible and you have messed up, but you're here to make it right. And if you can just, like we were all in primary school. We were, nobody gets anything right every single time. The best coaches and the best players in the world use coaches. So why do we not look at ourselves as a player who needs some coaching, who needs some refinement, who needs some help? That. Like I also have this major issue, and it's gonna probably piss off people. I don't know if they watch this podcast, the people that I'm talking about, but you don't do a 6-month life coaching course, and now you're a life coach. Like, for real?
Yeah.
What does that teach you?
And let me also piss those people off. Because you've experienced nothing in life. You haven't experienced loss. You haven't experienced grief. You haven't experienced addiction. You haven't experienced whatever. But you want to be a life coach.
So you may have experienced some of it, but like making you do a 6-month course and then saying that you're a life coach. Like for me, you might.
I'm on your page with that.
On paper, you might be a life coach, but you can't resonate with people. And I think that's what makes what you're doing so important. And I love the fact that.
Thank you.
There's so many, like the new Discam advert, and that's not a plug at Discam. The new Discam advert is unbelievable for me personally, because it's guys being honest with themselves about where their health is sitting at. So they take like a health questionnaire.
I have seen it, yes.
And it's like realizing how good or bad you actually are positioned in life and going, okay, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. you can easily know that you're going down the wrong path. But if you don't fix it, there's pointless knowing it. So I think the advice that I would give to people is to say it's okay to not be okay. Reach out, ask questions, seek help. Use people who are better than you. You know, if you're a CEO of a company and you employ a CFO, your CFO needs to know a lot more financial stuff than what you do.
There's a reason you
If you employ a sales director, he needs to know a lot more better sales than you do. Surround yourself with people who are better than what you are at what you're doing, and you will improve. And I think that to me is what we don't do. We go, oh, we think we know more than each other. We know I'm better than you at this. I'm better than... No, dude, I don't want to be better than you at that. I want to be worse because I want to learn from you. You know, and that's like the thing. It's like if the number one player in the world in any sport uses a coach, why the fuck don't we do the same thing in life?
Do you think we've become too soft and want comfort instead of purpose?
Look, I think that's probably another 14 billion podcasts if you have to decide on the world and its wokeness. And again, I'm not scared to upset those people because I think we find ourselves in this problem where you need to be too accepting, and you have to accept everybody for who they are. Yes, you accept it, but you also don't need. There's people who want to do it because they need attention and they're seeking attention, so they're doing all these different things. I mean, you know, like passing laws in the States where 12 years old and you can decide on what you want to, or what gender you want to be. Are you joking? You couldn't even, at that stage, I couldn't even decide if I was going to buy a WikiWax or a Chappie. Exactly. So I think it's, you know, the world is crazy. You've got 70-year-old white men making laws on abortion. Like, you don't know anything about a woman's body. How can you be in charge of that? So do I think there's problems? Yeah, absolutely. How do we fix it? By things like this. By men getting together and going, we need to understand women better. You know, and to understand women better, we need to understand ourselves better. Why are we behaving the way that we're behaving? Yeah. You know, we sit in South Africa with, and it's the bane of my existence with these oaks, is 16 days of activism against women. So what, for 350 days you can beat women up, but then for like those 16 days you got to suddenly behave. Like if that's what our government is promoting, I think we have a problem. So are we soft? Yeah, we're soft. But we should be stepping up as men to be examples to other men.
I think and I was going to ask you now, modern masculinity is broken.
Somewhat. I do, yes. Not really. If you look at
maybe just misdirected.
Yeah, I think it's definitely misdirected. I don't think social media helps. I don't think the fact that everybody's too upset that you're going to upset the apple cart, and then you're going to get a lawsuit. So I think that's another problem. Rules and regulations in schools. Teachers have got no. They're not allowed to discipline. They're not allowed to do anything. Kids can behave anymore. Yeah, and parents are saying, okay, I'm going to send my kids to school, and they're going to get there's no discipline at school because you're not allowed to discipline kids. So I think it's a very difficult situation that we're faced with, but we need to do more. You know, we as individuals need to step up, and we as individuals need to go, okay, well, let's do something about it. If you don't like it, let's fix it. Do something about it. Don't just talk about it. Same as guys who immigrate. They slate our country, and it's so cuck, and it's so this, and it's so violent, and I'm fucking this, and it's that. And then they'll go overseas, and they in Perth, in Canberra, in Auckland, Twickenham, and they're wearing Boca jerseys.
Yeah, and they go to the Springbok games.
How does that work?
And support the Springboks.
Don't slate our country.
Yeah, I've also never understood it.
Don't slate our country and then put a Boca jersey on. It doesn't work like that. You can't have the best of both worlds. I hope you don't support the Sharks, but it's the same as all the Shark supporters in Johannesburg that work here and earn our money, and they support, and they don't support the Lions. No, it's like, and it's wrong, dude.
Sorry, Shark supporters.
But you know, that's. Like for me, that's a principle, and it's
no, for sure.
We need to.
You're right.
If you say something, you've got to stand by it. It's I mean, listen. There's a number of conversations you have for another day,
and I think we're going to have a round two eventually if you would come back to this. So listening to your whole story for the past 45 minutes, 50 minutes, I've noticed, and obviously the cars. Service, giving back, kept coming up. How has service helped you with the loss, the grief, the addiction, the family, your kids? You know, how has that helped you?
So, I think it's just a sense of purpose, dude.
So if I'm not mistaken, service is in the 12 steps
It
too?
is, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is part of the 12 steps.
Yes.
The service and the giving back. Look, so I've always done it. So I did it when I was drinking.
You did it during addiction.
You know, I did it during addiction. It's just that's just the person.
Where did that personality trait come from? Do you know? Have you tried to figure that out yet?
No idea. No, okay. I'd rather not try to figure out.
No, leave it as it is.
I think trying to get into my own head is as I mentioned to you, obviously, Comrades, you're there for a long time. It's you're on the road for you and me. We like mostly 12 hours. Not that we cuck. It's just we maximize our entry fee. That's the way I look at it.
I got all the entries have gone up. I got the full entry fee.
It's like you're going to absorb all 1,250 Rand, whatever it was. I'm like, we're not shit. We could run 6 hours. We just no.
Yeah.
We actually just want to watch the winner cross when we're at Drummond. It's just
of course.
That's why
we want to hear about it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like Comrades, you spend that time, but you've got those thousands of athletes with you, and you've got all the supporters along the route. And last week I did Kruger to Canyon, and it's a 2-day stage race. But there it's because you run up the Blada River, so you're between Mpumalanga and Limpopo. And
must have been beautiful.
It's stunning. It's 2,800 meters elevation, which makes it like a small molehill for Reno. But it's there was only 30 in our event in the long event, and
you must have been alone
so
a few times.
But there's no one.
Loneliness.
And then my phone had gone flat, so it was like alone in I don't want to be in my own head. I don't want to be there. I was out there for 9.5 hours, 9 hours 20 minutes, and I was like, dude, I seriously don't want to be in my own head right now. But that's what it is. And then again, you go through all of those emotions, and you go through things, and you think like, what am I doing in the middle of this mountain? Like, there's nobody around me. Like, what the hell? I'm in my car suit. Like, nobody can even see that you're in a car suit. What are you doing? And again, it goes back to the service. What are you there for? Why are you doing this? Well, you're doing it because it's you. Number one, you can. So you've got the physical ability to do it.
You're healthy.
And you're out in nature, and you're embracing this beautiful scenery in our like this part of the world. It's just so amazing that so few people will get to see, because no one's going to trek up where we are. There will be a few, but there's this pristine vegetation, and it's so pretty, and you listen to the river running, and you've got this opportunity to be out in nature, knowing full well that somebody's done a contribution into account for fundraising for something that you're doing. So I think it does make that service, knowing that you're making a difference in somebody's life. I'm probably never ever going to meet that person. And that doesn't matter. That makes it even more special. It just knows, and that's the other thing. You don't do things for recognition. You're doing it because someone else out there is benefiting from it. And it's the same as what we're saying, so that's on the charity side of things. But from the other side of things, where you can help somebody through your experience to become a better person, which means that they are in turn going to do that. And it's that thing where we always talk about in the cars, everybody that's passed away, there's an award named after them. So each person has an award named after them. So if we've had people on the committee who've passed away, obviously the two daughters who while we started the cars, so there's names, Mel's got one, Dell. So everybody has an award, but the first award,
so cool.
The first award was for little Jess, who's obviously the reason we started the cars. And that's the Ripple Award. And I mean, we all boys, we all been that oak at the dam, at the lake, at the river, and you've tried to find that flattest stone possible and thrown it and skimmed it to check how many times
it jumps on the water.
And you see those ripples. And I think that's what we try and do, and that's what I try and do in a personal capacity and in the cars capacity and a business, is be that ripple effect that you see those ripples permeate through other people. And that's pretty much what it is. It's just, it's be the change you want to see. If you're not going to do it, why should somebody else do it? I think that's the crux of the whole thing.
That is beautiful. Just before my last question, I'll leave the best for last. Let's just talk about two other groups. I got you for addicts that you head up or started. And then another group called Dads Assisting Dads.
So I've got you is basically depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, addiction. So whatever you're going through, any tough time. So that's anyone. Doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, gender, doesn't matter. It's just, so it was a group. It's now an individual thing because I found that a lot of people were, if they relapsed, if they had a bad day, they didn't want to share.
Okay.
So they felt intimidated. So that's become more an individual side of things. So people will send me a word each day at the beginning of the morning, and we manifest that word. And if it's a negative connotation, I'll try and turn it into a positive. If
I love that so much. Give me an example.
So I
get all excited.
So I think an example would be anger. The oaks woke up and didn't get their salary. So done the work for the whole month and didn't get the salary. So angry at the boss. Okay, so we've been working on this for a couple of weeks now. But a person who has a tendency to slide into depression. So we've worked for a couple of weeks on making sure that it's not happening. And woke up and the word that I received was anger. And, okay, wow, what are we doing? How are we going to fix it? So what made you get to this step? Okay, now we're not going to slip back again because then we're wasting 2 weeks of work.
For sure.
So what we're going to do is every time you're feeling a little bit like you want to, don't feel sorry for yourself. Find something that's positive. Go find a pic. So find a pic of your kid. Look at if it's a pic of your kid, if it's a pic of your dog, if it's whatever you love. Look at that pic every time and remember how happy that animal or person is when you're around. Is that person or animal happy when you're depressed? No. So remember that. And when you're feeling sorry for yourself, look at that and go, okay, that person's relying on me, not going and falling back into depression. So that's just a small example. So
I love that so much.
So that's a daily thing. And there's countless people on my WhatsApp where they send me the word, and it can be at any time, and it can be a few words a day. And we just work through that and try and help them on a daily basis. I'll try and help them just get through what they're going through. And then my sister says to me, obviously being a psychologist, she's like, but you need to, you need to start charging for these services. And I'm like, that's never going to happen. Because this is not professional. So both of these.
Firstly, you can't charge for them.
Both of these are not professional. They're not, they by no means, but people say, well, how much I'll pay you for this? I'm going, like, are you joking? No, this is me going, okay, my last 40 years of misbehaving is worth it because I'm able to make a difference in your little life now. So it was completely worth it. Behaving like that rubbish, going through all the stuff that you did, disappointing all of those people is completely worth it because now you're able to have an impact. So if you didn't go through all of that, you would never be doing what you're doing now. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. So that, and then the dads is just guys who've lost their partners. So lost your partner, husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever it may be, and you come home and it's, kid had a cuck report. You used to bounce that off your partner. Now your partner's not there. What do you do? So then you say, oh, well, this is what happened. So when I could go, I tried this, don't do that because the cuck I did backfired. Someone else will go, oh, I tried this, it works. So that's just sharing experiences of how to get through a day in a better way with somebody else's advice because your person who you used to bounce it off is no longer around.
How have you found, and I'll tell you why I ask the question, because it might seem odd. How have you found the egos with the dads that need this assistance? So I had a friend who also lost his wife. She had a sudden heart attack with her kids around. He was on the cricket field. They were my neighbor. He was my best friend. I had to go fetch him off the cricket field. And he went off the rails. I was off the rails with him. So he is a lot better now. But if he had the dads assisting dads, I don't know if he would have joined it or come to it. Because of ego. Once again, you need to have, you can't force him.
Yeah.
Just like you can't force someone to go to rehab or come clean or whatever. He would want to say, I need help. I need to hear from other dads. But I think if he did have that where at that stage, maybe like someone to sit with him and have a beer with him and go, I've been through what you've gone through. It might have helped him and made his journey easier.
I agree completely. But the other thing is so ladies, they congregate together. They go and have their wine club, their book club,
easy to chit-chat.
all that sort of stuff. When they go together, they'll be bitching about their husbands.
Yeah.
Fucking he did this. And can you believe he didn't mow the lawn? And he haven't, Uggs go out. We don't talk about that.
No.
Like we're talking about sport and we're talking about, she's so hot, I'll tap that. And I mean, that's what Uggs talk like that. That's how they do it. They ain't ever going to go into you and say to you like, hey, how are you really feeling? Like, how did that make you, like what did that do to you? Like when you didn't get the promotion, did you feel shit? Oaks don't do that. And I've got a really great mate. Mark and his wife Tanya, and so he also called me out of my shit, and so she's always.
Then he's a good mate.
Yeah, 100%. And he went home after seeing me for a coffee, and she asked how I'm doing, and he said, I actually don't know. Because every time I ask the question, he changes it and asks about how we are, how the kids are, how the business is.
It.
Because you never want to be honest. And then he said, John, we're having a coffee. So we went to have a coffee and he said, okay, this horse cuck. You start telling me how you feel. You start being honest and telling me. So now that's what we do. We made this concerted effort, and I've now inwardly realized that I need to open up more. How can I do all the stuff that I'm doing, but I'm not doing it to like myself?
Yeah.
That's like going, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do this, you can't gamble. But I'm doing lines, I'm drinking, I'm gambling. I'm like, no, dude, you can't. If you're going to be doing it, you got to live the life. So, but it's another thing that we never ever we never stop learning.
Yeah.
On the 12 steps, and that's why people go into rehab. And I was in rehab for a month. I did the 12 steps. No, dude. Then you didn't understand the 12 steps. If you tell me you've done the 12 steps now, then you got a problem, because they never end.
They never end.
They never ever end, and they never must end, because you always need to be reflecting. You always need to see about how can I improve? How can I be better? How can I help others? So the service comes into it. The apologies, as I mentioned earlier, is that you remember something else that triggered to go, oh, geez, there's another one I got to apologize to because I actually caused cuck there.
Yeah.
And you've forgotten about it in the first ones that you wrote.
Yeah.
So he's made me very accountable, and he's like said, no, I want you need to be honest. So that's what we've done. And that's been an amazing thing for me, because I spend more time there, and and he makes an effort, and I make an effort to let him know everything that's going on, which is important.
Yeah. Last question. If your children, and I'm not going to say your 3 girls because you've got 2 others, am I correct?
Yeah.
It was 5, eh? So all 5 of them, if they to describe you in 20 years from now, what would you want them to say?
I just want them to be proud, eh? I would just want them to say that if they had a choice, they would choose me again as their dad. If they said to me, I would choose you again as my dad, job done.
That is beautiful.
That's all I would want.
I wouldn't have wanted to end this any other way. Please keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me. It was like proper. It's like
you've
seriously
inspired me today.
Listen, we don't ever stop, right? Yeah. It's just for, like we said, just for today, just for an hour, just for whatever.
You've given me goosebumps most of the show, so thank you for that.
Thank you for you, and thanks for your journey, dude. Thanks for having me.
No, for sure. And we will do a round 2 one day again, because there's so much we can talk about.
No, there always is, though.
Keep punting the cars. Maybe I'm in a suit.
I love you.
For next Comrades. And I'm not looking for that validation anymore. Richard, thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, dude. Thank
awesome.
You.